Good morning. My name is Amy DeBeck, and it's my privilege and honor to serve the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Elkhart as your minister. For those who are not part of our usual group, welcome. I'm so glad that you're with us. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and my husband, Kevin, the Reverend DeBeck, is on camera making sure that my message, our message, gets out to all of us while we're in quarantine. I want to start by reading our mission statement. UUFE is a welcoming community, encouraging religious freedom and ethical growth, celebrating diversity, and promoting a just and sustainable world. Along with that mission statement comes a challenge. One of you board members make a video this week of you giving that greeting so that we can add some color into this worship variety show. Fellowship Life is the part of the service that I usually do, where I talk about what's been going on around the fellowship that week or what's coming up. And it's a little bit different in quarantine, but here are some notices that I'm pleased to share with you. As I hear from more UUFE folks and more neighborhood folks, it does seem that most of us are following the rules about staying home and flattening the curve. That's a good thing. Another thing that happened is that Steve Kripe felt inspired by Oksana and Dwight, and he did a chalice lighting video this week that you'll get to see. Maeve played her keyboard again at her house. All of these videos get sent to Kevin, and he puts them together so that we have this worship service. And we miss each other. So if you have any desire to want to do part of the service, even if you don't know how to use your cell phone as a video camera, give Kevin a call and he'll talk you through how to do it. We're filling up the little library that we installed, the free lending library in front of our learning center. I know we're not supposed to touch our faces. We just recently in the last year started the little lending library that the social justice community made sure got up. And as it was empty a couple weeks ago, and as people were encouraged to stay home more, and as school children are not necessarily receiving the breakfast or lunch that they usually do, we started to put food into the little library so that now it's a little pantry. We'll keep you posted on ways to help if that outreach continues, but it's been a pretty nurturing thing to follow tabs on. The last piece of Fellowship Life, which would have been joys and sorrows if we had been doing that this week, is that Phil Campagnoli took a bad fall. His head bled for 3 hours. It was Saturday morning that this happened. They had a hard time getting his head to stop bleeding, but eventually it did, and they gave him 7 stitches. The scans show that he's fine. And what Janelle really wanted to get across, Phil too, is that the hospital was really, really good. They were very nervous about having to be in the ER. Janelle reported that they were really great about keeping social distance, and that they both felt very buoyed by this. So if something bad had to happen, at least there was a silver lining. This is the gong that UUFE gave Kevin that we're using instead of the UUFE gong. We're going to leave that. We're going to leave that on the campus and ring it when we're all together. We ring the gong 3 times. Once for those who came before us and made a place for us. once for those who are here now. Once for those who will come after us and build on the dream.
There, now it's on. As I light the chalice this morning, it is with a sad heart, sad because of our literal separation as a fellowship. I miss seeing you and hearing your voices. I also light this candle with a glad heart, glad because I know of the strong bond that exists within each one of your hearts for this beloved community and for the well-being of each other. The flame is a reminder of this eternal connection which cannot be broken by physical separation. May we find comfort and support through social media or phone in these difficult times until we can come together once again to celebrate our gratitude for one another. All right.
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, so I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, so I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, so I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, so I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
This is the time in our service when we come together to recite our covenant, which represents our highest aspirations of how we wish to treat each other. Please recite this along with me if you'd like. Love is, oh, that's funny. I just found myself waiting for you all to join with me. Let's start this again. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our covenant. Our next hymn is played by Maeve. Sing along if you would like, or just enjoy it. It's from the Teal Hymnal, number 1024. Spirit says do. The words came with this notice. If you want to sing along, Maeve, take it away. As we discussed last week, you can send a check to the church for our usual offering, or you can send a check for the annual pledge. You may also use the online payment method of square.com. But really, I want to talk to you for a moment about how money works at UUFE. This week, I received my paycheck in the mail. I'm so grateful every time it comes, and never more so than during this crisis. Maybe all of you don't realize how the financial system of UUFE works. And our stewardship committee is not going to get to do their big presentations for us. So I've run it by Linda Gill and Steve Kripe, and I know I'm not as exciting as they are, and they'll probably put a video together this week. But I wanted to try and explain it as well as I can, and hope that you'll understand, and hope that you'll pledge. See, we have congregational polity. It means that we, UUFE, and its members are completely in control of who leads us and how our funds get spent, and so on. You're never going to get a surprise minister, a surprise administrator. You're never going to be told that the offering is suddenly going to a bishop's home or something like that. Each year we make a budget that we believe will carry us through the next year, which begins on July 1st. Our preliminary budget gets made so that we know how much to ask everybody for. And then we do the ask and we collect. This is called pledge season. After we find out, how did the pledging go? How did all of that go? Did we meet our mark? Then we make our final budget. This past year, we had 60 pledge units. Just to let you know what a pledge unit is, it might be one person or it might be a whole family. We have 60 pledge units. Our entire budget to pay your staff member and to run all of our operations budgeted was $132,151. That's how much we raised last year. The ask for this year, the pledge season that we're in, is $120,261. It's less than last year because we have tabled the $10,000 that we aspirationally raised to have a religious ed coordinator. So this year, while that's still on the line as something we wish to have, we did not budget for it. So it's $120,000 that we're looking to raise this year, and $99,000 of that is from pledges. A little over $52,000 has been promised so far, and this is lower than if we had been meeting in person and stirring up all of the enthusiasm. The whole system got stalled because of this quarantine, and we're not the only ones. A lot of UU churches around the country are right in the middle of pledge season because most of us have a fiscal year that begins on July 1st. So, we're all in crisis. We're all locked in our houses. So we are understandably slow about turning in our pledges for next year, and we're slow about sending in the money for this year too. And boy, do I definitely get being careful. Here's the thing. With this slowness of sending things in and hedging your bets, there is aspiration that is just languishing. When we pledge or we vow to pay in the future, it speaks to a feeling of inspiration. It speaks to how strong we feel our mission is. It makes us feel invigorated. We can picture in the future potlucks and hugs, and we can picture sending people off to be in marches, and we can picture phone banking and singing. When we're locked inside of our homes and cannot even imagine when we might see each other again, well, it's kind of hard to feel aspirational. It's kind of hard to think, yeah, I'm going to send in a whole bunch of money. It's really hard. So here's the puzzle that I want us to put together, all of us together. I challenge you to rise up and feel aspirational about the likelihood of our fellowship coming through this COVID-19 crisis well. This is why you can pledge feeling easy and relaxed. First, I want you to know they worked really hard to put together graphics about pledges, and I hope that you have the packet that they sent out about puzzles. So here's the puzzle. First, we put together the frame, the outside part of the puzzle. Because we follow science, we have a pretty good chance of staying healthy and well by not gathering. And that's our framework. And now we start looking for the pieces inside the puzzle that fills it in. Well, we believe in reason and logic. And so the likelihood of us communicating our actual needs and wants to each other, where we can speak clearly and maintain a good relationship and continue to like each other, well, that just makes for a really healthy infrastructure. And we're going to be able to move forward while we're going through this rough time and when we start to gather again. Now, when you're putting together a puzzle and you've gotten the outer parts done and you've got the inner parts almost done, but there's still some pieces here and there, and you've got to figure out which of the loose ones that you've got are going to fit in those, well, those last minute kind of pieces that you can't figure out, that's the time when you're holding one of those, that's the time to call Ken Claiborne or Linda Gill and ask how to fit that last piece in. Those are the questions that need personal extra help. Together, we have the fuel for the inspirational, aspirational group that we aim to be. As the pledge packet said, it asked, what part of you goes in, what part of the puzzle are you? they asked me this, and I thought, well, I think I'm the cover of the box. I think that the minister holds the vision for the congregation, and when the congregation is being that puzzle and putting all of their pieces together, they keep looking at the vision to see if they're doing what they said they wanted to do. Not what I said you should do, but what you said you wanted to do. Are you meeting your vision? Well, when you're working the puzzle, you keep checking and seeing, and that's my job. My job here, right now, in this portion of worship, is to remove any question from your mind that you should indeed imagine that bright day when we gather together again. I don't know when it's going to be, but don't lose sight of that. If you don't know about pledging, or you had put it off, or you're just feeling so scared and uncertain that you're not really sure what to do, again, give Ken Claiborne or Linda Gill a call, because it is a pledge. It's a promise that you make to yourself that you're going to have this wonderful, beloved community to go to. And I am here to tell you that there are so many people doing their level best to make sure that we all have a place to go to. I think it's a pretty good thing to be, I don't want to say betting on, but to be aspiring to. Linda told me that mail is being checked a couple times a week, and with nothing scheduled right now in terms of getting together, it makes it hard to get in touch. So please call Ken. He needs to put together the budget and reflect what the pledges are going to be. And we all need to remember that when we're able to be together, not only do we fuel each other, but we serve as a beacon to the rest of the world. And, you know, saying that made me think, I haven't lit my own chalice yet. So, Steve, you did a better job, of course, but watching you light your chalice made me think, as long as I'm doing desktop worshiping, I light this beacon of hope for the times that we're together, whether it's online or on the phone, or that bright day that we can gather again. For now, let's listen to Spirit of Life and reflect on our aspirations, reflect on community, and reflect on the promises that we make to each other. maybe some week that we're doing this online worship, maybe some week the message will be more than just telling you all stay calm. But until then, I hope you all stay calm. Ha! I'm pretty funny, right? Well, a couple of days ago, I recorded a fireside chat about anger and depression and grief. If you haven't watched it, I think it was pretty good. But what I want to talk with you about today is that I keep thinking about how easily Kevin and I fell into calling it a fireside chat. So I want you to come with me as I think about FDR. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He was our president through the Great Depression and World War II. If ever there was a time for a nation to trust its president, it was then. FDR. The guy had a lot of secrets. A life partner who was not his wife, and disabilities that were kept from a nation because he believed that we needed to see him as strong, to name a couple of his secrets. But when he assured us that we would be okay, we believed him. He spoke the truth as he knew it. His way of communicating before television, or obviously the internet, was to go onto the radio and give fireside chats. They were delivered during times that we could not even have imagined. We read about them in history books, but we didn't imagine that we would be having times like that until March 2020. He administered hope when people lost jobs, when people had to stand in bread lines to get food, when folks sent kids off to live somewhere else so that they would be fed. And all the while, Americans were hearing of the rise of fascism in Europe and watching the dominoes fall into place for the coming World War. People needed honesty. They needed to be felt. They needed to feel that they were worthy of trust, respected by the leader of their nation. Moving forward together in a patriotic way happens when we know that we're being respected as equals, when we're being asked to work together for a common goal. Sure, we'll go ahead and keep using our old tires. If the troops need new tires, let them have it. And sure, we'll save whatever you need for us to save if it means that the people who are fighting for our freedom will have a better chance of staying alive. The patriotic feeling, plus the reassuring fireside chats, helped people back then feel that they were part of a communal effort. Fireside chats, that phrase evokes a feeling of communal effort, of comfort, of sharing a common lot. When my history teacher husband started calling them that, I felt warmed by the notion. So each week between Sunday services, we'll go ahead and send out a fireside chat. But the reality of how we're actually getting through this pandemic is different from those crises mentioned that happened in the 20th century. Rather than rallying together at USO shows, we are being asked to stay in our homes before it becomes an order. We're isolated. Families that have never spent much time together are now on mandatory communal lockdown. Schools are scrambling admirably to feed the students who depend on them, even when classes aren't in session. We don't have anyone to rally us. No national fireside chat. Our president refutes the experts. Could you imagine FDR having said his generals were wrong? And Trump says that the enemy of the people include our press and our scientists. Could you imagine FDR saying that we should pay no attention to the newsreels that were being issued by our trusted news organizations? So here we are. We're in a crisis that the majority of us have no experience living through. It feels terrible to be in a situation that should have us pulling together, but instead is sowing seeds of depression and mistrust and loneliness. I think there should be national campaigns for the war effort against COVID-19. I think that there should be national campaigns for victory gardens that have all kinds of points why we should do them. Like, okay, it'll keep us out of grocery stores, and it will help make up for the farmers and truckers and grocers whose loads would be less if we would just feed the people on our street. And the side effect is that we get sunshine and forego vitamin D deficiencies. I think that there should be national campaigns to take care of the front line. We do see some of this. If we want people to keep stocking shelves at our grocery stores and our food pantries, well then we need to stay home and stop infecting them. If we want our healthcare workers to be well enough to care for us when it's our turn to be sick, well then we need to not hoard the items that they need. War effort. You know, we all band together. I think there should be all of these national campaigns, and we should all be in our homes talking to each other about what we're doing for the effort. But we're really not together, are we? It's possible, it's probable that I have romanticized the 1940s and its music and its fashion and its sense of community. My parents loved big band music, and Andrew's sisters are the best. But here's the thing. This doesn't feel like that. We're not all together. And that's what Trump wants, for us not to be together. The war effort, therefore, requires us to band together and bring along people who have typically liked him, and now they're troubled, and there's quite a few. It requires us to be devoted to science and repudiate the will of this leader who seeks not to unite us, but to feed his own greed and sense of importance. The more we love our country, the more that we love each other, the more that we will work for cleaner elections. Whatever the processes are as we move through different stages of isolation and quarantine restrictions, elections are our best hope. The war effort will require that we stay kind and internally as well regulated as possible, because we never know who's going to need us, for what purpose. I'm feeling that. As I went through seminary in my wildest dreams, and they can get pretty wild, I never imagined that I would be wishing for a new FDR to look up to, but here I am. I definitely never imagined that I would be advising my congregation online how best to avoid Nazi rhetoric, but here I am. And as I'm here with you, I will always think of you and your visions, even when my screen goes completely kablooey. Give me one moment. I don't want to have to start over, but my screen isn't behaving. Give me 1 minute. What was I saying? Oh, I was saying that I'm always going to have our collective vision in mind no matter what's going on. And that's true. even as we've navigated how to keep us feeling together, how to keep the pledge drive going, how to feed people in our neighborhood, how to find out how any of you might need help. The reason that that happens is because seminary trained me to understand that my best task with any congregation is to hold the mirror up and remind them of what their vision is for themselves, for each other, and who they imagine themselves to be. And I'll always do that, even when there is weird stuff going on, like our president repudiating science. Even as this crisis does weird and unexpected things to us, we can gather around all of these newfangled wireless radios. We call them smartphones and laptops and tablets and iPads. And we can decide, how are we going to help the war effort? As beloved community, we need only to remember who we are. I will keep helping to remind us of our vision. But this is the piece of the puzzle that I provide, reminding all of you of how great we are when we work together, whatever that means. If it means sewing masks, or stocking the little pantry, or learning how to do online meetings to keep committee work going, whatever it takes, we are going to keep doing this together. We need to remember and hold tightly that our vision, and this comes from our mission statement, our vision for who we are is to be that welcoming community, encouraging religious freedom, nurturing individual, spiritual, and ethical growth, celebrating diversity, and promoting a just and sustainable world.
on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on.
As the whole world gets used to doing things online, permissions become more and more important, and you find more and more artists and writers granting blanket permission for their works to be used however it might help a community of children or worshipers or even solitary folks. So one of the nicest permissions that came this week is from Wayne Arneson, and he's the writer of a benediction that I share with you all often, and he has given permission for it to be distributed online. So get ready to blow out your chalices at home and get ready to go forth in peace, because here's our benediction. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, friends. Deep down, there is another truth. You are not alone. Blessed be. Amen. Stay at home in peace.